Welcome to the SnoWest Show. I'm Ryan Harris, host of the SnoWest Show, publisher of SnoWest Magazine. You guys know we've been around for 50 years.
50 years.
50 flipping years. I don't know if I really expected that to happen, but we had a really big party at 40 years. And I'm glad we did it at 40 years because everybody that was kind of in that core group of people that built the mountain industry have all retired.
Oh, really?
So they wouldn't have been around for the 50th anniversary.
That's good. So now we're going to do a 50 one, though.
Well, apparently we're doing a 50th anniversary party at Tony Jenkins' house. Just everybody's just showing up.
He just don't know it yet.
I don't know. He offered, so we're all showing up. You're gonna have to park on the street. I don't know, maybe bring a side dish or something. But we'll shoot the address out there at some point.
What about tacos? Do you like taco hookup? Or what?
Yeah. Bring your taco guy. That was good stuff.
You know, I mean,
you missed out.
I know. Was this Wednesday?
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
Who did you taco?
Oh, don't even worry about it. I got connections.
You got
right?
your own little habanero running around.
Yeah, Ryan thought Alvaro was true cartel when he met him. But I mean, the tacos were good.
It was good food.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We paid for it the next morning. Like it burned on the way out. But hey, it was good stuff.
That's awesome.
In fact, when you sent me that text, I showed that to Candace because she was texting me like, "Does your stomach hurt?" A little bit, yeah.
It was good stuff.
Oh, all right. Before we get going here, I want to thank our sponsor. We're brought to you by Polaris Snowmobiles. Polaris Snowmobiles Pro RMK, Chaos RMK. They're engineered for instant lift, effortless control, and immediate response. Check out the 850 RMK in stock at your local dealer. You could probably find a 9R, and you can probably find a Patriot Boost as well. Bruce here, certified Polaris mechanic.
Yes, back a long time ago.
Little fact of the day. Do you know what Polaris is offering right now for incentives?
No.
Just came out.
No.
Because we went through that whole COVID era.
Right.
Where if you were lucky to find a sled, and you were probably paying way over MSRP. Well, the trucks have come back down, the sleds have come back down, dirt bikes, incentives are back. Polaris right now is offering 1.49% financing for 36 months.
Really?
Or up to $1,500 off, or a 2-year warranty.
That's awesome.
Which of those would you take?
Well, you can look at it. If you don't have the money, the interest rate's the perfect way to go, right?
That's a good interest rate.
That's a good interest rate. And then if you need some clothing, I'd probably go with $1,500 cash back. Yeah. But the warranty's also nice also.
The warranty's good.
Because, I mean, we do have some recalls on the Polarises, so warranty would be...
Well, the recalls are covered anyway.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Warranty doesn't matter there.
It's true.
And we're past the recalls. We're past the recalls.
Recalls
are history.
Yeah, recalls are done.
This week's over. This week's over.
If you haven't got your recalls done, all the fixes are out there.
Do you know what I would choose?
Go hit your dealer.
I would choose warranty.
Yeah. You can't go wrong with warranty.
You can't go wrong with warranty.
That's true.
What are we on?
Doesn't matter what brand you're on.
What are we on? 2 years of actual factory boost now. So it's like, I don't know if they're really proven yet. So it's like, be nice to have that extra 2 years in your back pocket.
Yeah. Take the warranty out.
I'd go the warranty.
But that's awesome. They're doing that because back in the day, everybody offered an incentive. So
so we're back to that.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of truck stuff on the side as well, and trucks were outrageous. And to get a new truck, like even to order a new truck, Ford anyway, like if you ordered a Ford 2 years ago or last year, you don't have it. You probably don't have it, especially if it's a 450,
Yeah.
But everything's starting to catch up, and Ram did like a 10% off, including heavy duties, which that's unheard of for the last few years.
Yeah.
Discounts.
Sweet.
So, yeah, we're getting back to the wheeling and dealing days.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as we get back to the, you got 3 options there, you pick 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
We're not quite back yet. I remember when it was this and this.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you're greedy.
We'll get there.
We're out there.
Well, you go talk to your dealer and just say, hey, you kick me in some pants and a jacket and the warranty. We'll
take it.
Perfect.
All right. Speaking of Polaris, we have a really great guest coming on the show here in a minute. Cal Larson. Cal is engineer and director for Polaris Snowmobiles. We're going to talk recalls. We're going to answer some questions about recalls and how that process works and what these guys as an engineering team go through when these recalls appear, because they have to go out and they have to come up with a solution and fix this. And it's not like when the recall comes out, it comes with the fix.
Right.
You know, it's a government agency that is saying, hey, we're forcing you to do this. And so now the engineering team has to go find something.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then guest hosts. So again, I'm Ryan Harris. We have Broc, Genta, test rider for SnoWest magazine, formerly with Motorfist Gear, formerly with Arctic Cat. Arctic Cat sales rep, did that for a while.
Yep.
Now you build Lowe's homes with Justin Stevens.
I do some work with Justin. Yes.
Then we have Bruce Kerbs. Bruce is like a professional baseball player. He's currently in his off season. Farms all summer, and then just dicks around all winter. And we're at the beginning of that stage.
Yeah,
Aren't we?
we're at the beginning of that.
And we're pretty much all jealous. I mean, really.
Oh, we are.
You should hear our group thread about Bruce and his job right now. Yeah.
A few weeks ago, he calls and he's like, "Oh man, I have to go to St. George. Have to go down there and spend 4 days." And then he gets there and he's sending us pictures of mountain biking and e-biking,
The sun.
hanging out in the sun.
Well, I didn't want you guys to, feel left out. Figured I'd share my have-tos with you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think he was in Disneyland last week.
Just this week. I just got home.
Taking
I
the kids.
I just got
Taking
home.
the kids,
I got
right?
home yesterday.
Oh, welcome home to
Mickey's still hot.
welcome home to the snow. We finally got snow.
I know. That's why I left.
Oh yeah, man, shoveled twice this morning.
Mm-hmm.
How nice was that?
It was.
Finally got a little white stuff.
I've enjoyed it. I've actually enjoyed the.
Well, let's go. Let's go ride.
Yep.
That's what we need to do.
Can we put this on pause?
We can pick this back up. Yeah, we can do that. Go to snowwest.com. Check out our full line of merch. We got some really cool T-shirts on there. One of them is a T-shirt that says "School is important, sledding is importanter," which is funny. But what's funny is how many people at like the snowmobile shows have looked at that T-shirt and then don't understand what the joke is. Anyway, go to snowwest.com. Check out our T-shirts. Check out our hats. We'll be restocked on hats here pretty soon. We have hoodies. Subscribe to the magazine. That keeps us in business, keeps us going along. We love testing sleds. We love talking about events and snowmobiles and products and getting people on here for you. Subscribe to the magazine. Help us out there. Coming up on Monday the 18th at 7 p.m., we are going to host the Avalanche Alliance giveaway announcement. It's going to be live. It's going to be on the SnoWest Facebook page and the SnoWest YouTube channel. We're going to announce the winner, where we're going to draw. So Vicky from Erie is going to be on there, and she does all the drawings. So she will draw the winner of the 2023 Patriot Boost Chaos RMK 165 that's been decked out. That thing has an Arctic FX wrap, Ice Age parts, starting line products, Zollinger racing products, Zebros, Exit shocks, Pro Armor, Seat concepts. So we're going to give that away. We're going to do that live. So tune in for that. First prize, it's not just the sled, too, that Avalanche Alliance is giving away. So the grand prize is that snowmobile. First prize is a Marlon Explorer Pro 2 sled deck. Who doesn't want a sled deck? I'd take a sled deck.
I would take one.
Second prize is an Arctic Cat ZR200. You could have the kids out there cruising around that thing.
Add it to my fleet.
How's your boy, by the way, after torpedoing the front door?
He's good. I hate to laugh, but that was pretty funny.
That should be on TikTok.
I don't have TikTok, so maybe I'll send it to you and you can throw it on.
All right, yeah.
But I want half your commission when TikTok explodes.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny.
Third prize is a head-to-toe climb winter package complete with an airbag, Avalanche airbag, and fourth prize is Ortovox safety kit. That's a beacon, Avalanche airbag, backpack, and a shovel and a probe. So again, tune in Monday, December 18th at 7 p.m. Now you can enter to win this stuff until 11:59 p.m. on December 10th. So there's a couple more days left.
That's good.
It's currently sitting at about 111,000 donations, which is pretty good.
Where do you go to sign up?
Go to avalanchealliance.org, and that's avalanche-alliance.org. And then click on the enter here. Avalanchealliance.org has a lot of great resources for avalanche training and education, seminars, classes, like where to go. And then you click on the entry thing, and it takes you to the site where you buy your entries. And I think there's a promotion going on right now. But go to the website, avalanche-alliance.org. Check that out, and tune in on December 18th at 7 p.m.
That's pretty awesome.
And we'll be giving that thing away live. We're going to have Matt Entz, I think, remotely, and then Dan Adams live. and Dustin Pancarry will be up at Climb. We'll be broadcasting live from Climb, and we'll have Vicky from Erie calling in as well, and John from Live Large Universe is going to be kind of producing this and helping out. So it's going to be a really cool production.
What time did you say that was?
7 p.m.
7.
That's
You're not
the
going to be
evening.
there. You never
That's the
work
evening.
past 5, dude.
I generally try to do 2 p.m.
Yeah. You're.
I try to.
Do you want me or Bruce to cover for you?
Yeah, I might need you to.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I try to.
You
wrap
can work
up all
till
the
7
mountain
and then
bikes
take
too.
the next day off.
You'd be amazed how many people drop into canyons and get stuck at 3 o'clock in the afternoon
It's true.
versus 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That Ryan leaves.
So I leave. I leave before that happens.
Call me. I'm available.
I
Just sitting at home.
I remember when Dave, we were over in Afton, and Dave, we found this jump. I feel really bad because I was taking pictures, and that never goes well. And so we found this jump, but it was lined by trees on both sides, but it was going to be a really cool shot. And so we scoped it out, and Dave McClure set it up, and Dave goes back, and this is on his black and white mod sled that went to heydays, like a really cool looking sled, and he comes zipping down the mountain and lines up and hits this jump, and I'm taking pictures, and he drifts, he's in air, and he nails a tree.
In midair.
And he bails off the sled, ripped the whole front right A-arm assembly off, both A-arms, the spindle and everything, off the sled. And that's why I leave at 2 o'clock, because I would have been gone. and that would have never happened. Dave wouldn't have done that. So we
So you were there all night.
We took all of his parts and bungee corded him onto his backpack, and he side heeled out of there by himself.
Really?
Went back to the truck, went home.
That's wild.
Riding with DMC.
All
right.
an adventure.
Let's get to our guest. Our guest is again Cal Larson, engineering director for Polaris Snowmobiles. What's up, Cal? How are you doing?
Hey guys, great. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, welcome to the show. So we've all ridden with you. We rode with you at Snowshoot. I think Justin and Rhett and I rode. Were you in Afton last January?
I was. Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Yep.
So we've ridden with you a few
Yep.
times. So give us a little background on where you come from, because you're relatively new to the Polaris engineering team, right?
Yeah, well, I'm new to the snow engineering team, we'll say. So I've been in this role for just over a year now. Came on late last year. But I've been with Polaris for 14 years in various forms of engineering. So, always really had a passion for snow, and this is where I wanted to get at some point in my career. And so to be able to have this opportunity is pretty darn cool.
So how did you wind up with the snow team? Because there's some big shoes to fill there. Like we're going to talk a little bit about Marty Sampson and some of those wild stories. But yeah, how did you wind up with the snow team?
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, it started, right when I started at Polaris, I just tried to get involved as much as I could with the crew. And so, as a supplier quality engineer when I started out, and really just tried to get in and support. I had an opportunity to go out to Snowshoot very early on. As a supplier quality guy, really not a ton of reason to be out there other than just to support the snow team and get to know everybody, and just tried to keep the connections. And so when the opportunity came up that folks within Polaris knew who I was, knew what I was about, knew how much desire and passion I had for it, and ultimately that comes through in everything that I do on a daily basis. So that was kind of the inroads, and just continue to stay close with our validation team. Did some work with them on kind of some of the final boost validation. Got an opportunity to go ride out west with those guys for a week, and just tried to stay close.
So engineering director for all
sir.
of Polaris snowmobiles. That includes
That's
RMK,
right.
but you're all of Polaris snowmobiles. What does that mean? Like what's your job description? What do you do on a daily basis, yearly basis? What are you over?
Yeah, so I mean, it's inclusive of all of our snow models as well as timber sled, honestly. So it's anywhere from our project teams that are working on any of the out years or even current model year changeover items, validation team, design team, development team. We work closely with quality. And then we just integrate very well with the rest of the organization between some of our safety and quality teams. Obviously, we'll talk about that a little bit, but our sourcing teams, and just and manufacturing, just making sure that we continue to function well as like I like to say, one team.
So let's be honest. If you work at Polaris, like maybe you're working for off-road, you're working on the Razors or the Generals, everybody wants to work on the snow team. Everybody wants to work on the snow team. Isn't
I sure
that's like
think
the
so.
goal?
I sure think so. We've got a lot of guys that are in Razor and Ranger land that they go out and ride every year. They're just as excited to see the new snow checks come out as everybody else. It's actually hilarious the day that we launch the new model year sleds. You walk around the office and there's a whole lot of snowmobiles pulled up, the snow checker pulled up on computer screens because people are just jazzed about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The seasonality, you can't beat that. I mean, you can ride Razors all year long. And yeah, they come out with new Razors and they just come out with them whenever they want, it seems. But when you've got, everybody knows that you've got something new coming out the end of February or first week of March. Like there's still that anticipation that you don't get anywhere else. I think anyway.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's kind of it's a little bit of a blessing and a curse, right? Like we know there's dates that we're marching to every year, but the seasonality of having snow and having that launch period and our time to manufacture, that's a challenge. I honestly kind of underestimated it coming into the role on how much stress that put on different levels of the organization. So it's been fun to be a part of, but something that we have to constantly work around.
Well, and you guys are riders. Like I mentioned Marty Sampson earlier. Some of the craziest rides I've ever done as a mountain rider have been with Marty Sampson on Polaris prototype snowmobiles, with absolutely zero regard for that $250,000 prototype unit. I mean, rocks, trees, you name it. Like Marty was king of just dropping in some unknown land and doing anything you needed to do to get back out. But it built. That's where I always tell people that story. Just and there's some specific rides that are really gnarly with Marty and Lyle and I think that kind of just to me explains the heritage of RMK, like why it does what it does, like why it gets up on top of the snow as well as it does and goes through deep snow, and why lightweight is so important. So Cal, what is the process? Just kind of an overview of how the engineering process works. How do you take something, because you're working, I'm guessing you're working on model year 27, 28?
Yeah. Yep. You're dead on.
So what's the process from an engineering standpoint? Somebody brings a new idea, or let's say you're changing a platform, like when you went to Matrix or Axis. How far in advance was that? And then what is the process? What are the teams involved? How do you deal with that? People probably think it's just a snap of the fingers and you can change a model. There's a lot going on.
There's a ton going on. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. You're right. We're working on 27, 28, along with some obviously next year's models coming out too. But when we start to look further out, it always starts with the customer. So we have really good integrations with the product team. They're coming to us like, hey, this is what we're hearing. These are the things that are great. These are the things we darn well better not screw up. Make sure that we stay true to that. These are the opportunities that people are asking for, and how do we start to integrate that in? And so it comes with a pretty high level ask, and then the engineering team kind of takes that and starts to digest it. What does this mean? What device can we come up with, or technology can we implement, and how do we spec this appropriately so that we meet some of the asks of the customers, and how do we do it in not only high technology and really cool features, but do it in a manner that delivers quality, durability, and everything on top of that. So we're at a stage now where the sleds they're incredible, right? Like, I mean, it's unbelievable what they're capable of, and so we're fine tuning a lot of things. We're trying to find that next edge and next leg up, and it's a pretty cool process to be a part of and see, and then it just kind of continues to cascade from there. You're right. We built some prototypes that are not cheap, but they're so incredibly valuable from a learning perspective, because we do a ton of work in CAD land and advanced design But really, the rubber hits the road when you're putting sleds on the snow, and so you're seeing how they react to some of the design thoughts and processes that you put in place. And so yeah, we just continue to work it from there. And still a ton of work goes into the industrial design of it, right? They got to look cool, but in order to look cool, they have to function well. They have to have the right wind protection or ability to slice through the snow and all that. So, and oh, by the way, everything still has to fit under the hood, and so it's a pretty big, all-in engineering feat to execute, but absolutely incredible to be a part of.
Cal, do you guys have like a set? I know you ride and you're a good rider. Do you have a set riding group that kind of goes out and does this, or do you rely on a lot of like your ambassadors, like your Chris Brandts and all that stuff to put in feedback on your sleds? Like how does that tie in together, I guess?
Yeah, that's the cool part about the snow industry is, there's so many sources for feedback and input. So do we have a crew? Absolutely, right? We've got a full-blown validation and test team. I mean, these guys are putting on, right, last year, we at the end of the year, we kind of went through some stats. They put on over 200,000 miles on sleds, like 6,300 combined hours of testing. I mean, it's just insane amounts of hours. We had, a couple of our mountain test riders individually put on over 440 hours worth of seat time. So yeah, we got fully dedicated teams to doing the validation part. The other side of it is we've got, development engineers and project engineers, and honestly, pretty much anybody that works in snow is enabled to go ride and understand the customer, the use case, provide that input. So it's a big conglomerate of not only riding but input from everybody. And yeah, we're absolutely connecting with guys like Chris and Matt and Dan and the whole crew of athletes and ambassadors to make sure that we're listening, we're hearing, and working to make things better. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So I want to ask you a few questions about like the 2024s, because you issued to the media heydays, you guys gave us this little printout that had all the product and quality updates for model year 24. Yeah. And this is things like, like Ben Burke on his own caught this one. The 2.6 track went from a center drive shaft to the same style drive shaft as the 3.5 pitch tracks, which are two extrovert drivers on the outside of the drive shaft. So that was a change over to 24. What are some other things that you guys have done, specifically to the RMKs?
Yeah. I mean, that's a big one, right? As we learn more about how our tracks work and how they're able to resist ratcheting and improve efficiencies and all that stuff. Like, to be able to carry that over into other models is a huge win for us. We've got a lot of different models and a lot of different tracks out there. So absolutely, that was a big one. Last year, arguably, RMK was the kind of the one segment that got some news with the 325 and the reversible scratchers, and maybe a little bit undersold from our broader spectrum, because those things are absolutely phenomenal. And we could talk about those too, but then we also focused a bunch on quality. Last year was really a year of quality and execution, and so we did things like we updated the brake rotor, so it's actually a little bit lighter weight, but the core driver behind it was heat management, and so making sure that we could reject the heat a little bit better, maintain that temperature, and along with that we paired what we call in the high retraction caliper. So high retraction is kind of an overstatement, right? We actually moved the retraction by about 7 thousandths on average. So it's finding that right balance where we've come to love and appreciate the responsiveness of the brake system on RMKs. I mean, that maintains control unbelievably, and obviously we had the issue at the beginning of last year where we had to update some of the software to protect from some of the inadvertent brake riding, and this was another opportunity for us to give the rider a little bit more play and feel in that, so that there's not some inadvertent squeezing of the brake. So that was a real big one for us, and we continue to look for opportunities as we go forward to improve those situations while not losing any sort of quality or feeling and performance of the system. So that was a big one for sure.
So I'm looking at one, the boost fuel pressure sensor. So you're running a little more pressure to that, or what did you change on that for 24?
No. So this is, part of our process of just staying close to the field and understanding, so the signals that we get. We uncovered an area of kind of some resonance or some extra vibration in those sleds that year, and so we were seeing we'll say some higher failure rates on some of the boost fuel pressure sensor wires. And so what we did is we took a really proactive or quick approach to rectifying some of those issues. And so we updated the actual wiring itself that's a bit more robust to super high vibration type applications. I mean, we talk about two strokes and how much vibration they have compared to a lot of other automotive or off-road applications. And so taking some learnings across the board and just, again, all in the effort of improving both the quality and the durability of some of these systems.
You guys have any questions so far?
No, I just think it's crazy how fine, like you mentioned, what was on your brake caliper? What was your thousandths on that?
7,000ths.
7,000ths that they're, you know what I mean? That they worked with that little of numbers, I guess. It's kind of cool to listen and know that you guys are fine tuning, like fine is a huge word, tuning your sleds to make them better for the public. So it's pretty cool.
And that caliper retraction allows you to rest a finger on the brake lever without engaging, right? That's kind of the objective there.
Yeah, that's the objective, is to give a little bit more I guess leeway to that situation where if you're resting your finger on that brake, like we've been taught to do, and gives us that maximum control of the sled, that sometimes we get into situations where we don't, as a rider, you're so focused on everything else that's coming at you, you may not realize that you're actually applying just a little bit of pressure and to that brake, and when you do that, you're pad pressure on disc and things can heat up quickly when you got the speeds that our tracks are running. And so it just gives a little bit more leeway to that situation, and gives the operator a little more opportunity to kind of feather that in.
You got anything?
No, that's good.
So on the tracks, Cal, I've always wondered this, like, because the drive shaft change that we just talked about on the 2.6 track, so that's a 2.86 pitch, but it now has the same drive shaft setup as the 3.5-inch pitch. How are you guys measuring like track tension and how much drag that has on a snowmobile, or how much efficiency the powertrain has, if you can decrease track tension?
Yeah. We kind of have a relatively standard track tension process and spec as it comes out for everything, but we have a ton of back end processes, we'll say, that we're working on to ensure that we've got the right level of not only tension, but as we start to fine tune some of the track characteristics, how much lift and traction or forward drive that it's got. We got a whole bunch of sensors that we'll outfit some of our sleds with that can kind of give us some really good indications of when things are getting too tight and we start to lose efficiency. We can see that through the drive line. If the track gets to be too loose, we can start to hear it through potential ratcheting or slipping of the drive line, or even just kind of a call it too low of a drive line effort. And so we can measure all that stuff now, which is pretty darn cool, and then apply some changes, and then go back to it and keep fine tuning.
So what is it about a track lug design that makes a track lift versus another track that will just dig?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's kind of an art, honestly. And the my whole development team, Jesse, Josh, Jeff, Jeremy, these guys know a heck of a lot more about it than I do. So they've armed me with enough information to be somewhat dangerous and understanding of kind of how they go about their business. But there's a lot that goes into it, right? A lot of key characteristics of the track is like, does it generate lift? And that's a different characteristic than generating forward drive or traction. And then on top of that, it's like, how do you control that track speed and make sure that you've got the right amount of efficiency? And so there's a lot of different, levers that the team pulls to kind of fine tune how those tracks operate. It's kind of like, we do a ton of suspension tuning, right? And there's some feel and some characteristics that you're looking for. But again, we do a lot of instrumenting of the sled to understand, we can see when it's actually generating lift and getting up out of the snow. We can see how much torque there is on the driveline when we're trying to go, through the snow. And so it's trying to find that right balance. It has to do with, the spacing of the lugs, the height, the profile of them, amongst other factors as well. But yeah, it's a bit of an art and a bunch of fine tuning to make sure that it's doing what we anticipate and expect it to do.
So how do you determine when you want to make the jump from a 2.86 pitch to a 3.5 inch pitch? Like, is it because of how many lugs you have, how tall the lug is, how big of a bite of snow you want to take? Like, what's the determining factor there? Do you want to go lighter?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's kind of in the architecture of the sled that kind of helps or enables us to determine the pitch and the lug. So really, going to a 3.5 pitch enables us to be as light of weight as possible. So when you have, less drivers, it actually obviously takes mass out. It takes rotating mass out. So it enables a lot of performance-based items like, how fast you can get that track spinning, how much efficiency do you have in it. And so the 3.5 pitch is really all around that. And then, from there, it's a fine-tuned balance between, how light can you go and how high performance can you go, and balancing that with, the ratchet resistance and whatnot. And so it's also determined by how big of a lug height we can fit inside of the tunnel.
And so you're running the same drive shaft from the 275 track to the 325 track, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so how much clearance do you have in the tunnel with that 325 track?
Well, she's pretty tight, but I'll say just enough.
Just enough.
Pretty tight.
Just enough. And the reason I say that, like, obviously, there's been some questions about can I take that 325 and put it back onto a previous model year because I got the same drive shaft. And right now, the answer unfortunately is no, because we actually had to do a little bit of work to get a little bit extra clearance in there as we went to the model year 24s. So yeah, it's we're right on the line there.
How is your overspeed warning with your track and everything?
Yeah.
How's that, I guess, working out? Because I know not a lot, just a few people you talk to, Polaris gurus, were pretty concerned about that last year and kind of wondering how all that's going to pan out, because a lot of guys go more than 50 mile an hour down the trail, but I know it's a mountain sled too. So how's that kind of panned out for you?
Well, it's early, right, in the season, so we haven't seen a whole lot of indications of any concerns around that right now. But you hit the nail on the head. It's a very purpose-designed track. We like to think of our 275 as our, maybe to put it in different terms, a little bit more of your all-terrain tire type design. That's just really high-performance, lightweight track that just works well in all these snow conditions. But then you go to the 325 and things just, amazing and super deep. The deeper it gets, the better it is. And it's kind of, in that similar term, a little bit maybe more like your mud tire as an application. You're probably not going to drive down a paved road with a mud tire as fast as you would with an all-terrain, right? And it's kind of the similar situation here. Is you just kind of got to take some of that into consideration, that it's truly purpose-built. And so that's the purpose of the warning, right? Is just to allow the rider to be aware of when they're either heating the track up too much or at risk of damaging it. So that's the whole intent of it. And obviously the scratchers help a ton. So not only are they reversible, but the cooling performance out of those scratchers this year are significantly better than our past. We're able to keep the coolant temperature down quite a bit further in quite a bit lower snow conditions. And so we really encourage everybody when you're on trail to really use those scratchers. But yeah, it's important to respect the fact that we're trying to build incredibly high performance machines for, in some cases, specific environments, and this happens to be one of those.
Yeah. Talk about how the track gets hot going down the trail, because I think people are familiar with Hyfax melting and your sled overheating, but nobody's really thought about my track is getting hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, myself included, for the longest time, I used to think, oh, scratchers are only to keep my engine temp cool. And that's, not even remotely the case. It's way more than that. It keeps both the engine cool as well as the track. And, when you think about it, that track is it's rubber. It's whipping around, fairly tight radiuses when you think about it. And so there's a whole lot of, bending and movement of that rubber. And, anytime you bend something fast back and forth a whole bunch of times, it gets hot. Like that's just physics, right? So the more rubber and motion there is there, and the faster that you're going, the more heat you're generating. And so heat is not a friend when you think about durability at speed. So you want to make sure that you're keeping things cool. Same with your engine. You want to keep things cool. It just performs better and it lasts longer.
Well, and people are probably thinking like, well, okay, why don't you just make a stronger track then? Well, you could, but it would weigh twice as much. The whole point is to have a
Yeah,
lightweight,
right.
efficient machine, right?
Yeah, that's where we're at. We're balancing a lot of factors. We're trying to make sure that we've got, the lightest yet most high performance machine on the market while maintaining durability expectations that, myself, all of us as customers have. And so there's always a little bit of that, towing the line that we're doing and trying to make sure that we've got the best recipe. And yeah, that's exactly right.
Cal, this is Broc. It's pretty awesome to sit here and listen to you talk about the amount of time, the amount of people, the staff that you have on every little detail. We've been talking about tracks for 15 minutes, just about tracks. You did say something about keeping the engine cool, but as I was reading some of these updates on the engine, talk to me a little bit about the new spark plug, and is that something you'd recommend that they put in the 23s as well? Because it looks like it's coming in the 24s.
Yeah, definitely coming into 24s. The hotter heat range spark plug is something that we've been looking at for a while and wanted to implement just to really start to try and resist the fouling that we've heard about and see. Obviously we put some extra fuel and oil in during break-in. If we're not getting that out through heat cycles or running the machine longer, sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge. And this spark plug kind of helps that. It also helps with some we'll call it lower quality fuels and things of that nature. So helps the burn process. And yeah, I think if you run into some issues like that, it's recommended to transition to that plug. The one thing that I would say is we work directly with NGK and our partners to design these things for our applications, and so there's a whole bunch of off-the-shelf NGK plugs that you can go grab off the shelf, but it's actually incredibly important to run our specific plugs because of the way that they're constructed and designed. You're not going to have things the caps falling off or vibrating off and things of that nature. So there's a lot that goes into it, even if it might think that it's just a standard NGK plug.
Does that hotter plug help with starting as well?
Oh, I don't know that I can even answer that question. I'm not sure. I'd lean on my powertrain guys to answer that one.
All right. So let's jump in. Let's jump into the recall stuff. I know everybody's listening is gonna be like, all right, you can ask them about the recalls. Yeah, we are. What's going on there? Why were there so many all at once? And then what's the process of you guys deciding to issue a recall? And then how do you, what does your team do kind of behind the scenes to address that and deal with it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an absolutely fair question. It's been an interesting year, I'll put it that way. I came into the role when we were right in the midst of our fuel tank recall, one of the biggest recalls in Polaris history potentially. And the team had been working on that one for a while and working through the execution pieces. And then we've had a couple others since then. But I think at the crux of it, right, we take a ton of pride in making sure that we're putting our riders and customers first in really everything that we do, whether that's the design, the performance of the sled, and certainly the safety of it. And so, when safety comes as a topic, it is at the center of everything that we do, right? It's the primary factor that we have when we're making a decision on whether or not to recall something. And over the last several years, you ask, okay, well, why is there so many more right now? The last several years, we've invested just a ton of money into processes and people to make sure that we are able to identify the issues incredibly fast and like real time. And so, one of those processes, we call it our post-sales surveillance. And so we've got, a crew of folks that are really scouring every potential opportunity there is out there to get some data, whether that's, forums or whether that's social media, warranty claims, dealer contacts, customer contacts. I mean, like I said before, it's a really tight-knit community within the snowmobile industry. And so we're monitoring all of those signals. And as soon as we get one that's like, oh boy, this could have an impact on safety, it's like immediately we jump on it and we start going into that investigation phase. And so I'd say that's probably one of the reasons that we've been maybe a little bit heavier on them, is just more scrutiny and detail around understanding, hearing, seeing those signals and reacting really quickly.
So, man, like last week, so CPSA, which is the Government Consumer Protection Safety Administration.
There we go.
I mean, it almost feels like an IRS tax audit. Like they found you, and like once the handlebar hooks came, it felt like, well, this is a little too much. But when we posted about one, it was the 9R and the 850 electric start. It was the ring gear on the primary clutches. It wasn't a new recall though. It was actually just the CPSA announcing that recall, but you guys had done the recall months ago and you already had a fix out. So we inadvertently created some confusion there. But how does a consumer, how do you tell the difference in the new and the old? How do you communicate that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, because it feels like there's a whole bunch of communication that comes out around it, right? And it generates quite a bit of a buzz right away, which, honestly, by design, like that's intended. We need to make sure that we're getting the message out to the consumers when we identify an issue. And so, we look at it, we have basically 3 different phases, right? And, the one thing that I'll say is, yes, we are governed by the CPSC, but honestly speaking, like that's not the driver for, when we decide or why we decide to issue a safety related recall. It is truly because we've identified a potential issue. We look at it and we say, if this potentially has an impact on a rider's safety, we're going to do something about it. Like that's our belief. We're putting the rider safety first. And so, the 3 different phases really that we go through is, the first one is, we identify the issue. And once we figure out that it is a safety concern, we're going to announce right away. We've got some internal processes to make sure that it is truly a safety issue. We try to limit the population the best that we can based on a whole bunch of data. But we announce it, we communicate the stop ride. And for a lot of folks, I think that can be, painful to have a stop ride issued, and you're like, well, how the heck can you do that when you don't have a fix identified or validated? And really, again, it's just making sure that the consumers are aware of the issue and are not putting themselves in harm's way. And so, second step is really then where at that point, our teams are working like absolute mad to figure out the issue, get to the root cause, make sure that we understand it to the deepest level, figure out what the fix is, implement the fix, validate, and then start to work the supply chain side and make sure that we got parts to get out there, because that's the other thing when you get into these situations, right? Your supply chain is ramped up for normal production, and now all of a sudden if we have to go stack a bunch of clutches as an example back on top of it, it takes some time to get them spooled up. So that's phase 2. We identify the fix, we validate it, get it fully approved internally, and then we issue that second round of communication that the repairs are available. And so it's like, okay, go get your stuff fixed. It's at the dealers. We're trying to push as many parts availability out as we physically can. And then the last phase that you guys kind of alluded to is on the CPSC side. We inform them when we have an issue, and we also share with them what our fix is. And there's an approval process that goes along in there. And once the CPSC has kind of blessed the fixes and the issues, then they'll formally issue their recall. And so then that latter recall communication is released, and in this case, right, like the other week when we issued that on the clutches, it looked like it can look like a new recall, but really it's just that final announcement that yep, CPSC is on board and has kind of formally issued the recall letter, and we just make sure that we're communicating once again, hey, the stuff's out there, you can go get your stuff fixed. So high level, like that's really how we operate.
So the process is not like there's a government watchdog agency that's coming in and slapping your hands because your product isn't up to par. This is all voluntary internal stuff where you're like, okay, we've identified something, we're going to deal with it, and then we're going to let the government agency know what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like, you know, in any case, right, you like all of us manufacturers, whether it's automotive, you know, I don't know, the toilet paper industry, like we're all governed by some regulatory body, right? And so there's things that you have to comply to and things of that nature. So that's always true. But from our standpoint, it's like we need to take the action, and we need to make sure that our riders are safe and be proactive. And then, you know, that actually it works well to be able to communicate. This is what we know. This is what we're doing about it. You know, CPSC, and then we can partner with them really well to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Now, the timing on a couple of these, especially the ones early on, those kind of hurt. That was unfortunate time. That'd be like getting your toilet paper recalled as you were sitting down.
That was the break one for me. I will honestly, God, never forget that day. You know, I was but a couple months into the role, and when we found that one and started to work through, I think that was a November-ish time frame of last year, and unlike this year, we had good snow, and that was a really tough one because right getting going into the season, everybody's all pumped up to get riding, and then we got this going on, and so yeah, we work hard, fast. I mean, we're the same. Like we can't go out and ride our sleds, you know, when we don't have a recall fix either, other than obviously the testing piece of it when we're doing it under really controlled situations. But like we all want to ride too, and it's painful when we you know have to kind of deal with some of that. But it's the right thing to do. Like it is truly the right thing to do to make sure that everybody's safe.
Well, I hate to tell you, Cal, when I saw that stop ride, I did not stop riding.
That was supposed to be a secret, Ryan.
and the cops did not show up.
I didn't hear that.
Hey,
Cal, yeah, but you know the other part of it though, like you were aware of the situation, right? Like we brought a bunch of awareness to the situation. You could maybe then, at a bare minimum, you know, hopefully everybody's aware, and they can understand. You know, we're all taking risks every day, right? You go out and you ride a snowmobile, you're taking a risk, right? Like that is you go drive a car, you're taking a risk, and so obviously. That's our stance is very, very clear, right? Don't ride. Make sure that you get this fixed. We haven't, identified an issue, but at a bare minimum, at least our consumers are being made aware real time, like as soon as we find it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Did you have something?
I did, but I can't remember.
I had a quick question. Just touch on right quick the difference in recalls and then service advisories and bulletins.
Yeah, sure. So, service bulletins for us are really about, proactively getting out there. So if we identify a potential quality issue, we've gone through the process steps to make sure that it's not a safety issue, but could still be a weekend ruiner, right? Like that sucks too, right? None of us want to have that scenario. And so, we'll go out and proactively work with our dealers to get things resolved. That's kind of the service bulletin side of the equation. And then, recall obviously is for us a stop ride. Like don't ride your product until we actually have the fix. And so that's kind of the difference between a couple of those. There's some other, minor steps in there in terms of how we work with the dealers. But that's the basic difference.
So it does seem like we've had more recalls the last few years. Is that just technology getting better? More advanced, more, I guess, fine-tuning on you guys' side, because, around 2015, 16, you just never heard of a recall, maybe a service bulletin like Broc mentioned, but...
come on, you've heard of recalls. You ride Arctic Cats.
Dude, there's no recalls. You just ride them. You just put gas in them and go. No, just wondering, is that due to technology and everything just getting bigger and better, or why do you think there's more recalls lately?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things. One, our signals are like we're monitoring our signals a heck of a lot more, and we're reacting a lot faster, and probably to fewer instances of safety concerns, right? Like we're being a little, quite a bit more risk adverse on that front. We're just being very proactive. I think the other piece of it is riding styles have changed over the years, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, think back not too many years ago, and you think about some of the styles in mountain, and now we're riding super tight trees, and you have to have ultimate control of your sled, and part of that, like we go back to the brakes. Ultimate control means you got throttles, you got brakes, you're maintaining both of those sometimes simultaneously, and managing some of that. We've got boosted sleds, we got 9Rs, like the power and the capability that these sleds have now to get into certain situations is it's pushing things, right? And so I think a little bit between some of the riding styles and capabilities and areas that we're able to get, combined with how closely we're monitoring things like that, that's probably the combination of those two is why we're starting to maybe have a few more pop up here.
Gotcha.
I had a question that I've thought of and forgot about 6 times, and it just popped in my head, so I wrote it down. What comes first? Because this goes back to the beginning of the conversation. You're an engineer. What comes first on a new concept? The look and the body and the shape, or the engineering and the mechanical side? So, like, are you limited as an engineer by everything fitting in the way it's been designed to look, or does that come after the fact?
It is seriously a joint effort. So we start obviously like with the consumer, like what do we want to do, and part of that is what do we want it to look like, what style do we want it to have. But honestly, we're still we put clay on models. We're making full life-size clay models out of things, and so as we're doing that, a phenomenal process to watch, by the way. Those guys are crazy cool. While we're doing that, engineers are standing in that room with them talking about it. Like, hey, I don't know, this isn't going to fit, or I don't know if the exhaust is going to fit under there, or hey, we need better protection in this case, or that ergonomic isn't going to work out right. So it's honestly, it's a truly a joint effort right from the get-go.
All right.
Pretty sweet.
Okay, we'll let you go here. We've been on for quite a while. I know you had some limited time here, but I do want to ask you, say you have a sled deck, so you've got 2 spots on your sled deck, and we're in the mountains, none of this lake racing stuff. We're in the mountains, we're going riding in Wyoming, going riding in your backyard. What 2 sleds are you putting on that sled deck for the whole season?
Yeah, easy. 9R Chaos with 155 with the 275 track, and Pro Boost 155 with the 325 track.
Okay, why the smaller track on the 9R?
I personally like the playfulness of those, and so when you think about chaos and kind of some of the snappiness that motor brings to the table, I like the short track. I like kind of more of the being able to bring the nose up and around. So I just like the maneuverability.
Gotcha.
So why do you do a Pro on the Boost? Just for the opposite of that, stability?
A little bit of the opposite, right? Like the 325 gives a kind of a whole new level to the game. I experienced it last year, and I was like, I personally could hardly believe how much you could feel the 325. It was kind of a mind blower for me. And as I think about, you guys called what the heck was it called? Cardi B last year.
Yeah, Cardi B.
That thing that was just like, that one was almost over the top too much. Like, man, your arms were tired after not too long, and so the Pro kind of tames that down just a little bit, but the 325 gives a still in that shorter track a bunch of playfulness, which I love.
Bruce, what are you putting on a sled deck? What 2 Polarises?
9R for sure. And I would have went with 3.25 until I heard him. Now he's got me thinking. Oh,
really? You're that easy?
I'm not easy. That's what my wife said. No, he's got me. I don't know. I do love that 3.25 track. Like we all felt it last year, and the people that went to snow check. I talked him into the 3.25, so maybe I did him a injustice. But and then any of the turbo Polaris.
But but you got to pick one. Like that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the. It's a 2-place sled deck, not a 6-place.
I can stack them.
Stack them like hay bales.
Yeah, stack them like hay bales.
Standard farmer answer.
Yeah.
What about you?
What do
Broc?
I got? I got
Yeah.
2 sleds for the season, right?
Yep, 2 sleds.
146 9R, 155 chaos boost,
With what track?
325.
On both?
No,
Well, you can't get the
You
325
can't get
on a
325 on
146.
a
You get the
2.6.
2.6.
That's right.
26. Yep.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Broc. It don't matter.
You like that?
So,
don't you?
so if I say something different,
wanna
you
be
gonna
like
change
me.
again?
What do you got?
Huh?
What do you got?
Well, if you go back to the show that we did where we were talking about putting 4 sleds in a 4-place,
Yeah.
my top pick.
Yeah,
like,
they didn't let me put mine in there because I said Arctic Cat, and they just scratched that.
No.
You can put a cat in there. We'll,
Okay.
we'll let you stack a
120.
cat up on top. No, my top sleds were the Free Ride and the Cardi B.
Yours was Cardi B, I think.
My top sled is Cardi B.
But you were
I
nervous about the
was
brake deal.
I was upset about not being able to cover the brake lever, but that's been addressed. So my top sled is Cardi B, which is a Chaos Boost 155, but it's got to have the 325 track, and I'll probably only ride for half an hour because I'll be worn out, but it'll be fun. It'll be wild.
Yeah, but you're done at 2 anyway.
Yeah, I'll ride from 11 to 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me 3 hours. And then number 2 is definitely going to be a 9R. And I think I would do either the 146 26, which we have, or the I'm going to stay short. I'll do 155,
I'm gonna
but
go
also the
grab that.
325.
I'm going to go grab that 146. Go break it in this weekend.
Oh man, it's a fun sled.
You will break it in.
It's so fun. But I love the 325, and I'm hoping we have the right snow for it this year. Like it was an easy pick last year,
Yeah.
but this year is a different story. But that 325 on a 155 did things that a 175 or 275 on a longer track would do.
Yeah.
It just-
Agreed. That was a good track. Good job, Polaris, on your 3.25.
Yeah, we're stoked about it. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, it's a specialty sled. It's like a gummy tire on an enduro bike. Like you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Like we might be to the point where you're replacing a track or two during the season, just like you're replacing a tire.
Yeah, and they're cheap.
If you're not careful with
They're
it.
cheap, so you'll be all right.
Yeah.
No, I have dog Polaris tracks for forever, and I used to ride Polaris a lot. But yeah, props to them on this 3.25. Even your 2.75's a ton better. So
Well, I love the 2.6. I mean, the 2.6 like opened my eyes to like a track, lifting the chassis up out of the snow.
yeah,
Like when you feel that work, rather than just the track is only there to make you go forward.
Yep.
But the track is there to level the sled out, get up on top. The 2.6 was a phenomenal track, still is, but it's just overshadowed because everybody wants a deeper lug, just like the 9R is overshadowed because everybody wants a boost.
yep, yeah. If you didn't have a boost, that 9R would be your top sled
Oh, by far.
by far.
Yeah. All right. Any parting comments? We'll let Cal go. I know he's got work to do. Got to go work on those 28s.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, what's in store for your 28?
Ready to rock.
Hey, Cal.
Hey, the standard answer is we are always innovating.
Okay, perfect.
Are we going to see you in January, Cal?
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh yeah, we just got the invite to that ride. So yeah, hopefully you'll be there. I think it's in it's in Wyoming again. So.
Afton.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Don't throw any addresses out there.
Always fun to ride with you guys.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right.
Thanks for all you do, Cal.
Cal Larson, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Catch you guys later.